Thank you, Denise. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody in attendance to our regular workshop meeting for Tuesday, June 15th. Again, we have a crowd tonight, so that's great to see, and I know there's people online as well watching the stream, so welcome to everybody to this meeting. At this point, can we please take a moment just to stand up and salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Boyce, would you do a roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson is absent. Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Sadin?
Here.
Mr. Jess?
Here.
Mr. Sergio?
Present, sir.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Here.
Mr. Kimmick?
Here.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyce. Okay, public notice, adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act has been provided by action of the Board of Education at its regular meeting on December 8, 2020. Notices to the Courier News, the Star Ledger, and Star Ledger circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education website and building bulletin board. Administrative headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. So at this time, comment is invited on any matter related to agenda items. If anybody in the audience would like to come forward to the mic, please state your name and your address, and we welcome any public comment on agenda items at this time. Okay, seeing none, and I do not believe there's any items in the feed that are specific to agenda items at
That's
this point.
correct.
Okay, could I have a motion, please, to close public comment?
So moved.
Mr. Jess, a second.
Second.
Mr. Sergio, any discussion? Okay, thank you very much. Public comment is closed.
All in favor?
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, Mr. Jess. Okay, public comment is now closed. Okay. Approval of minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting as follows: May 11, 2021, the regular meeting, and May 11, 2021, executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Van Horn was the second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce, can you do a roll, please?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Abstain, sir.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyce. So board president's report. I just want to point out one thing about this meeting because it's a little bit unusual. This is actually the first meeting that's falling under a new set of executive orders from the governor's office that does allow after school hours, because this is technically an after school hour event that's taking place on school grounds, for the public to not wear a mask if they choose to not wear a mask. So if somebody has been vaccinated and is comfortable taking their mask off indoors, you are allowed to take your mask off indoors. That's different than during school hours. The executive order is a little bit confusing. During school hours or school-sponsored events when students are present, people do need to wear a mask. So I know this is something, again, that's confusing for people. It's confusing for us as board members. It's confusing for administrators. But again, we are hopefully reaching the end of this kind of confusion from the state at times, and we will hopefully have much more clear direction as we go into next school year. So there are a number of items on tonight's agenda as well that really celebrate staff and students. If you look at the agenda, you see that we're in particular celebrating teacher and the educational support staff of the year. We're celebrating retirees, and there are a number of student recognitions on the agenda. And I think it's just really important that we take this opportunity again to thank our staff, to thank our students, to thank our families, and everybody that has contributed to this very, very unusual year, and just really that we are now reaching the end of. We've gotten to the last week of the school year, and I know it's been challenging on many fronts for people, but I do think it's important that we all take a moment to reflect that this was something that when we get some time to separate ourselves from this, I think people will realize that there's a lot to be proud of this year. And it is something, again, that I just encourage people to do that and take that moment. When we're done with the presentations for the educational and support staff and teachers of the year, there are refreshments outside in the lobby if anybody would like to avail themselves. Not board members, you're not allowed to leave, but anybody who's in the audience, if you'd like to go outside and just enjoy that, those are available to people. I especially want to congratulate and thank our 2021 graduates as they enter their last full week of school. I know this is emotional on a lot of levels for the students, for teachers, for parents. Really, I've said this before in meetings, the student contributions to the district and the community are something of which we're all proud and grateful. As things started to return to a more normal state, we were allowed to have, athletic events, concerts, plays, all of those things make a difference to everybody in the community. They make a difference to students, but they also make a difference to the adults. And again, I just want to thank the students for their participation in those events. And really, I don't know if they recognize the power and the importance of those events to the community and the contributions that they made. To our student representatives, I want to thank you for showing up to the meetings, for being present, for taking the additional time to be with us, and really to provide student reports and give us perspective really on the things that are happening within the schools. And Kara, I know this is your last meeting with us, so thank you very, very much for all of your efforts, and we wish you the best of luck as you move forward beyond today and into graduation next week and everything that you have taking place after that. So thank you so much for your contributions as well. Again, as it's mid-June, this is kind of a public service announcement for people. Anybody who's interested in running for the Board of Education, there is still time for any community members who would like to pick up a board packet to submit their name to run and be on the November election. There are 3 seats that are open at this point. I think it's, again, something that I would encourage people to do. The filing deadline is July 26th. It is something that takes considerable time, but it's something that if people feel strongly about particular issues, I would invite people to actually, again, submit their paperwork and actually have their name on the ballot and, if possible, join the board in the discussions that are taking place. And then I finally want to thank Dr. Melissa Sadin for her contributions to the Board of Education over the years. Dr. Sadin has formally submitted her resignation letter. She'll be moving out of the community and vacating her board seat, not particularly in that order, or maybe in that order. I'm not sure which one. I'm assuming it's in that order. Effective June 26th. Dr. Sadin, when she vacates that seat, that will initiate a very formal timeline for us to actually accept resumes from interested candidates, and a process where we would have to interview people in open session at a meeting and then actually appoint somebody to that seat. And there is a timeline that Mr. Boyce will publicize and make available to the community at the appropriate time once the resignation takes place. But again, I want to thank Dr. Sadin. We've been in really watch them grow up. I think you should be very proud of the work you've done as a parent, but also all the work you've done as a professional and as a board member. So with that, resolved that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Board of Education member Dr. Melissa Sadin, effective June 25th, 2021. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Ms. Van Horn, before we vote, is there any discussion?
Yes. I would like to.
Ms. Sadin?
I have to say something. I just wanted to just take this very brief minute to tell all of you that it has been just a tremendous 20 years in the Ville. All of you have had a hand. Some of you are here tonight in helping me, like Mr. Kimmick has, in raising my children and being a community that is very unique in the world, really, the closeness that is the Ville. I want to thank everyone who works for this Board of Education, who spent a very, very difficult year and a half worrying about yourselves and your families and still finding time to care for the children that are in these schools. I am personally aware of what a tremendous challenge it has been, and the best of us rose to the top of that. And I thank you all for that. I thank you for electing me twice to serve at your pleasure. I have tremendously enjoyed it. I hope that you all take time out for yourselves this summer, get some much-needed rest, and I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Mr.
Mr.
Sajil.
President, just if I may say really quick, you know, Melissa, whether it's here serving the Board of Ed, in school, out in the baseball field, or in a youth group adventure, I consider you a friend, or even in your backyard. I am happy and sad at the same time, but I know it's goodbye for now, not goodbye. I wish you and your family all the best moving forward, and just knowing when I'm driving down 95 and I'm in South Carolina, I have a place to pull off, so, all right, God bless and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Any other board member comments? Okay. All right, Mr. Boyce, can you do a roll, please?
Sure. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Pontillo? Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes. Okay, Dr. Tian.
Okay, we're going to move on to the first of many in this list. We're going to start with the Teacher and Educational Support Staff of the Year recognition. So we're going to start with Vanderveer. So I'll start with Mr. Reevy. I know you're out there.
Good evening. I'm going to take that personal preference and go without a mask, so it's, thank you for having that option. Tonight I'd like to recognize Mrs. Laura Lee Brown. Mrs. Laura Lee Brown, yeah, let's hear it. You go ahead and raise your hand, Laura Lee. All right, we know where to gate. Mrs. Laura Lee Brown serves as an instructional assistant in one of our preschool classrooms. Laura Lee gives the students and staff of Vanderveer School the highest levels of support and dedication. Laura Lee is always looking for ways to assist the teachers, students, administration, and other instructional assistants. She's the kind of assistant who sees something that needs to be done and takes care of it without waiting to be told or asked. Laura Lee treats all students and their families with dignity and respect, and as a result, builds excellent rapport with them. Laura Lee ensures that the students experience success in the preschool classroom by challenging their abilities in order to encourage as much growth and development as possible. Laura Lee is always the first one to volunteer for family fun nights and activities that take place at our school. And Laura Lee is an active member of our local education foundation, the SEF, and is always encouraging the preschool community to apply for grants to enhance the students' learning. Laura Lee also contributes to the community outside of school by spending 2 nights a week teaching at-risk youth and their families about family and community values. And I am very proud to celebrate Mrs. Laura Lee Brown as the recipient of the Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Next up, we'll have Mr. Benjamin for the middle school. And I don't know if Ms. Prusso is going to be joining you. Okay.
I apologize about my appearance. I got rotator cuff surgery yesterday, so it's been quite the day. Our Educational Services Professional of the Year is actually no longer with us, and that individual is Miss Joy Cleveland. So I really want to, if we can really give a round of applause for Joy Cleveland, because she's been an amazing person. I have this, we thought she would be here, so I had this really huge speech for her. So, I'll definitely send it her way, but Joy is enjoying herself with her new endeavors. So, thank you, Joy. It is an honor and a privilege to stand in front of you all this evening to acknowledge the middle school's Teacher of the Year, Aubrey Dominski. Aubrey has been an integral member of our middle school family for over 7 years. Ms. Dominski's advocacy to ensure her students' educational program represents the philosophy that one size fits one, and that each of them continue to receive the most appropriate related services and supports continues to be second to none. Year after year, she attends IEP meetings asking questions, analyzing student performance data, and serves with grace as a voice for parents unsure or unaware of their rights. Ms. Dominski works closely with her colleagues to understand and implement the curriculum, but what makes her exceptional is that she is a very creative and in designing and or delivering her instruction. Ms. Dominski is able to integrate technology into her lessons that appeal to her students' intellect, passion, humor, and instructional level. She incorporates cartoons, music videos, you name it, to engage and support her students attaining the skill or concept. Ms. Dominski is always trying to think and instruct outside the box, and her students' lively, spirited, and engaged responses to her instruction is testament to this level of creativity and effectiveness. Ms. Dominski communicates well both orally and in writing to students, parents, and colleagues, which makes her students and their parents feel confident and assured that she has their best interests at heart and would put forth considerable effort to ensure her students' learning needs would be met all the time. Ms. Dominski's personal experience in having a child of her own with special needs reminds her on a daily basis of just how important it is to get it right for her students and ensure the learning, services, and supports meets them where they are and grow them to their capacity and potential. Ms. Dominski often reflects on personal experiences with her child to connect with students and experiences that enhance their understanding of a particular lesson or concept. Students often express feeling connected to Ms. Dominski and her personal experiences, and they reflect or mimic their own. Ms. Dominski also inspires and provides insight to her colleagues on how to engage instructional best practice for her special and general education students. Ms. Dominski understands her students' social and emotional needs and is strategic in motivating them to perform at their best and to their capacity. Because she knows each of her students, she is able to tie in, out of school, and experiences that may have with families and friends so as to connect to a particular lesson, engage the students, and have them perform accordingly. Ms. Dominski is #AllInForTheVille and has shown that she loves and is committed to our evolving learning environment. She recently initiated the 8th grade legacy project that supports students identifying, among many things, projects throughout the school and community that are worth preserving and receiving historic preservation status. Our special and general education students collaborate as a team to identify projects of interest throughout the school and community. This empowers the students and make them feel as if they are a part of something larger than themselves and are decision makers, leaders of the school, and engaging in their civic duty. The smiles and enthusiasm alone are more than enough evidence to reveal the impact that Ms. Dominski's efforts have on our students. In addition to the Legacy Project, Ms. Dominski has served as an integral member of the school culture and climate team. Her thoughtfulness and care is evident when she speaks about initiatives and efforts to improve culture and climate at the middle school and beyond. Our middle school is a better place because of Ms. Dominski, and it is for these reasons and too many others to mention here that she was nominated and selected as our SMS Teacher of the Year. Congratulations on this much-deserved award and recognition, Ms. Dominski.
Okay, next up is our high school. Mr. Foley.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Tehan, members of the board, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to highlight our staff. Our Educational Service Professional of the Year is Mr. Nicholas Malisi. Nick, are you out there? Raise your hand. There he is. I won't make you come up right now. Mr. Nicholas Malisi, Somerville High School's school counselor and 2021 Educational Service Professional of the Year. Mr. Malisi's outreach, relationship building, skill set, and out-of-the-box thinking are just some of the qualities that he demonstrates daily. Mr. Malisi devotes so much of his time providing direction, motivation, and emotional support to his key stakeholders. He works closely with other mental health professionals, teachers, and administrators to better serve the needs of his students' academic, social, and emotional needs. Again, it is his outreach and ability to build relationships that make these interventions work. He consistently follows up to ensure his students are staying focused on the plan and provides additional guidance if they are not. His compassion is recognized by his students and families, and they feel supported knowing that Mr. Malisi is looking out for them. In addition to him creating virtual or giving in-person presentations on guidance-related programs, it is not unusual to find Mr. Malisi at an extracurricular school event to support his students. He attends everything, folks, from school drama productions to athletic events, and by putting forth that effort to show up and support his students outside the walls of the counseling office, he is further showing his ability to build and sustain positive relationships. Mr. Malisi is an amazing resource for the students and families of Somerville High School and is very much deserving of this year's distinction as Educational Service Professional of the Year. Congratulations, Nick. Come on up. Okay, and Mrs. Hannah Spencer, Educator of the Year. Are you here? Oh, there you are. Okay, Mrs. Hannah Spencer, Somerville High School's Teacher of Special Education and 2020-2021 Educator of the Year. Mrs. Spencer goes above and beyond her normal responsibilities to ensure her students' success. As SHS's life skills teacher, she is always focused on meeting the needs of her students. Her number one priority is to ensure that her students have a positive experience in the classroom and in high school. This is evidenced in her classroom design and overall learning environment. Each learning center is creatively designed to meet the very specific needs of her students. Her approach to delivering instruction, coupled with that creative design, inspires learning. Mrs. Spencer's dedicated efforts to serve her students are further demonstrated as advisor to Somerville High School's Student Council, and further in her participation with the Peer-to-Peer Club and Unified Bowling Team. She works closely with our peer-to-peer advisor, Mrs. Nevada, and peer mentors to support her students in the athletic realm. Mrs. Spencer is aware that she cannot do it alone. Great educators like herself and leaders understand that it takes a village and are not hesitant to ask questions and research additional support structures to better support the students in which we serve. Mrs. Spencer collaborates with all stakeholders to ensure that her students meet with success. Mrs. Spencer understands the importance of developing and maintaining relationships and collaborating with teachers, administrators, and families so her students have the opportunity to reach their full potential, and that's what we want. Congratulations, Mrs. Spencer, for this well-deserved recognition.
Our next recognition will be retirees. And I know, Mr. Foley, you just started, but I believe, Dr. McDonald, are you doing one or no? It's Mr. Foley? You want to say something first, though? Okay. So both of them will be coming up for the high school. So we'll start for the high school.
Hello again. The first honoree from the high school is Mrs. Linda Kemper. She is not here with us tonight, but I know she's watching at home. Okay. So, Mrs. Kemper. Mrs. Kemper spent 16 years as a special education teacher at SHS before her retirement this past February. Linda was a tremendous asset to our entire school community. She had a thoughtful approach, which enabled her to support each one of her students' diverse needs. And with this thoughtful approach always came compassion, which also enabled her to build relationships with her students. And building relationships, folks, well, it's how you get kids motivated. And she was always able to do that. Now, from an administrative perspective, I was able to schedule Mrs. Kemper in just about every subject area. Although she's a special education teacher, she was also a science teacher, and that included bio, that included chem, that included physics. She did it all. English, social studies, math. She was even our workforce development teacher. So she, like I said, she did it all. It was easy for me because I knew I could put her in any situation, any capacity, and she would thrive in supporting our students. I had an opportunity to talk to members of her department, of the special education department, and this is what they had to say. Linda is kind, caring, sweet, professional, fabulous, and stylish. Linda is also trendy. In fact, Linda was also trendy in the fact that she was all in for the Ville before there even was a hashtag. She was a friend and mentor to all and welcomed new hires in a professional and kind manner and helped them along through their beginning years. Her energy and love of teaching could be seen in the classroom, and she wanted only the best for her students and treated them as if they were her own. Although Linda has retired, she has moved on to an even better role as Nona. What lucky grandkids. The Ville family will miss you, Linda. We wish you all the very best in your retirement. Congratulations, Linda.
Good evening. I have the honor of recognizing Fran Massa O'Connor. For those of you who do not know, she is a learning disabilities teacher consultant. I did not write a formal speech, Fran, because every time I went to write one, it made it too real that you were leaving us. So I'm going to kind of talk from the heart and just talk a little bit about my experience with you and what you've brought to this district. Fran's actually been a member of this district for 28 and a half years, 16 of which were spent on the child study team. We talk about being pioneers. Fran truly is a pioneer in moving special education forward. She helped start the in-class support program here in the district, which for those of you who don't know, that was a way to bring students with special needs into the general education setting. So it involves both a special educator and a general educator who work together to support students so that they can be the best that they can be. Fran, I think the district owes you a lot of money because you are not just an LDTC. In your role, you've served as a counselor, you've served as a nurse, You've served as an administrator, you've served as a mother, as a sister, and as a friend. Your shoes will not be filled easily. There are a ton of LDTCs out there, but none of them can do what you do in terms of building relationships. You go so far above and beyond for our kids. It's astonishing. I walk by your office, you're tutoring, you're counseling, you're on the phone with families, walking them through really difficult situations. You're an advocate. You have no problem coming to me and saying, this is what this kid needs, and you're able to convince me this is what this kid needs. You really are what it means to be an advocate for special education. Your kids have made so much progress. Your families are so grateful. I kid you not, Fran is probably the only case manager I never get a complaint about. Teachers love you. You collaborate. You support them. You get people through really difficult times, and you will be so, so missed. Best of luck to you, Fran. We have a present for you.
Tough to follow that speech. Good job, Tanya. How you doing? I'm Tim Davis, Director of Athletics here at Somerville High School. Debbie Fedor is retiring this year. She could not make it tonight, so I know she's probably at home watching this right now. Debbie Fedor has been married to Bob for the last 40 years. Her and Bob have 2 children, Dan and Courtney, and 2 grandchildren, Harper and Hunter. Deb, however, has committed the last 23 years to being an athletic director's secretary, with all the difficulties that they experience on any given day in a position such as that. Deb has outlasted 5 different ADs and has remained the constant through it all. Anyone in our district, the Skyland Conference, or across the state would agree she is amazing at all the organizational details needed and involved to being a great assistant. And I use assistant in the form of, I believe that, Deb, for me, for the last 3 years, has been an assistant AD in a lot of the things that she does across the table. The countless confirmations, changes, communications, and payments processed, the letters, the pins, the tracking down of paperwork by our wayward coaches have all fallen into her lap, and she's done an excellent job at it. She did it on her own way, a system that is foolproof. She has seen all of this in the line of work for 23 years, and she will be missed tremendously. I cannot thank her enough for being assistants to me for the last 3 years. All the best in your next venture and journey. I'm sure you'll enjoy the beaches, the cruises, the grandchildren with this well-deserved retirement. Congratulations, Deb.
And next up, we have Vanderveer, Mr. Reevy.
Hello again. The first of 4 retirees we have from Vanderveer School will be Mary Jo Thornburg. Mary Jo, go ahead, raise your hand. Both hands, all right. See that? That's preschool for you. Doing it twice as good. Mary Jo Thornburg started working at Vanderveer 14 years ago in 2007. During this time, Mary Jo was an instructional assistant with the preschool program just after it moved from Central to the middle school. All of us remember that move, and Mary Jo came in right after it was done. Nice job. Mary Jo is currently an instructional assistant with a preschool special education class. Mary Jo will miss the kids the most, especially watching them grow up through the years at Vanderveer and then seeing them around town here in Somerville, where she resides. Mary Jo's first class of preschoolers are graduating from SHS this year. Wow. One of Mary Jo's fondest memories is coordinating the Halloween costumes each year with the different teams, and she will always remember being allowed to come to work and have fun with the students and her colleagues. Mary Jo's advice for new instructional assistants is to enjoy each day, You get to be little again and be 4 years old with your students. Those are words to live by, Mary Jo. Mary Jo's plans for retirement include moving to Florida with her husband and enjoying summer every day. Farewell snow shoveling. On behalf of Mrs. Shaw and the staff of Vanderveer School, I would like to say thank you, Mary Jo, for your years of service to our students and their families. And I wish you the best in your retirement. Congratulations. Come on down. Who's it going to be next? Amy Burns. You're next. Go ahead, Amy. There we are. Thank you. Amy Burns started working at Vanderveer 9 years ago in 2012, but has over 19 years in public education. Amy was a classroom teacher prior to accepting the instructional assistant position here in Somerville. Amy spent 6 years in the kindergarten inclusion class, 2 years in the ABA classroom, and this is her first year in preschool. What a great way to close out. Amy is so grateful for the friends and friendships she has made here at Vanderveer with her colleagues and looks forward to continue them in her retirement. She will miss laughing with the students and holding their little hands while walking through the halls and watching their little sets of eyes light up when they're learning new things. Amy recalls one of her favorite memories when she and the kindergarten teacher and the students were dancing and singing to a song that seemed to last for a long time, when she and the teacher caught each other's eyes and realized the CD was actually skipping, and their laughter erupted, which, as you know from being in a kindergarten classroom, causes a chain reaction of laughter among the students. Amy calls this the spontaneous joy of being around children, and will truly miss those moments. Fun fact about Amy is that she received the Governor's Teacher of the Year award as a teacher in Randolph Township and received the same award as a paraprofessional here at Vanderveer School. Congratulations on those. Amy's advice to a new teacher starting their career is to ask a lot of questions and find a friend on the staff. Then continue to ask that friend a lot of questions. Be yourself and listen to the children. They will tell you what they need and when they need it. Amy's plans during retirement are to spend time traveling with her husband, catching up with her daughter, who just moved back to a New York City office from Cincinnati, and to learn how to paddleboard. Amy, on behalf of Mrs. Shaw and the staff of Vanderveer School, I would like to say thank you for your years of service to our students and their families and wish you the best in your retirement. Come on down. Who's it going to be next? Yep, you're right, Joanne. Joanne Devereaux. Sorry, I couldn't see that. Everyone? All right. Thank you, Joanne. Joanne Devereaux has spent 29 years working in public education. Joanne started in Patterson for the first 5 years of her career and then came to Somerville for an additional 24 years. During this time, Joanne has taught in every grade level from preschool through 5th grade in either a general education or in a special education capacity. That is unprecedented. Joanne will miss the people the most, her colleagues, and of course, the kids. Joanne feels blessed to have worked with so many teachers and has built a traveling suitcase of instructional strategies that she has been able to use and share with colleagues at every grade level. And I mean that, every grade level. Joanne also feels that she got to see the best and take the best of everything and everyone in her public school journey. When asked about memories that stand out from Vanderveer, Joanne quickly responded with, interesting and surprising show and tells, especially from kindergarten. Joanne's advice for new teachers coming into Vanderveer is to stay positive and don't take yourself too seriously. Maintain your sense of humor and be prepared for anything. Joanne compares her time at Vanderveer to a roller coaster. There are ups and downs, twists and turns, and unexpecteds. But no matter what, you still get back online and look forward to going again. Joanne will be remembered for the sense of calmness she brings to the school building and for fighting for students who lost their own champions along the way. Joanne's plans for retirement are to go where the universe takes her. In her words, everything will unfold as it should. Joanne would like everyone to know how grateful and humbled she is by being allowed to serve the Somerville School District for the past 24 years. Well, Joanne, on behalf of Mrs. Shaw and the Vanderveer staff, I would like to say thank you for your years of service to our students and to their families, and wish you the best in your retirement. Come on down. Oh, come on. Don't cover up now, Sharon. Sharon Schwartz. That's it. Sharon Schwartz began working at Vanderveer School in 1986, and all her 35 years of public education teaching have been spent in the Ville. During this time, Sharon has been a self-contained teacher of the communication impaired, an inclusion teacher, a resource center teacher, and a self-contained teacher in an LLD class. Now, among all those different roles, there have been back and forth multiple of times. I think during our meeting we lost count of back and forth and moving around. But on every turn, Sharon always came up smiling like that smile is right there, excited to start the next chapter. Sharon will definitely miss working with the kids. And the more challenging the kids are the ones she will miss the most. Watching the students grow is the most rewarding experience for a teacher, she says. One of Sharon's most outstanding memories from Vanderveer is Ted Stanek and Jim Belitsky doing a full-blown Thanksgiving feast with the students and teachers. Sharon's advice to a new teacher beginning at Vanderveer is to take advantage of the other staff members in the building for assistance. They will offer it, and they mean it. Make yourself a part of the school. Get involved. Excellent advice. Sharon will be remembered as someone you can go to for advice, someone who is a good listener, and also for her commitment to the Somerville Education Association. Sharon's also, I just want to point out at this point, Sharon's dedication to the annual food drives for the community of Somerville. Those have gone on for years, and Sharon has always been there as an advocate and starting different, not just food drives, but specific ones for specific causes. And that, I want to thank you on behalf of the community, Sharon. That is a true endeavor that you took on, and you've done it well. Sharon has also received the Governor's Education of the Year Award twice in her career. The one word Sharon equates to her career at Vanderveer is selfless. I agree. Sharon's plans for retirement include relaxing the first year and taking life as it comes, along with sleeping in. Then it is on to a bucket list item of a trip to Ireland. As Sharon said, not an Irish bone in her body, but she loves the culture. Some of her family members have already gone. Now it is her turn. She loves the music, loves the dancing, and looks forward to deep sea fishing too. Well, Sharon, on behalf of Mrs. Shaw and the Vanderveer staff, I would like to say thank you for your 35 years of service to our students and their families and wish you the best in your retirement. Congratulations.
Again, congratulations to all the retirees and to the educational support staff and Teacher of the Year recipients. Again, I think these are very, very special events, especially just acknowledging the retirements and a span of experience that exists just in the people that came up today. I just want to thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've contributed to the Ville. It's certainly done something that, as the administrators pointed out in their recognition, just something very, very impressive. So thank you for that. We are going to make a quick change to our agenda. We're going to have our student reps report right now. This is Kara's last report, but I understand you two have places you need to be. So again, why don't we pick it up with you, and if you can provide your student report, we appreciate that.
All right, we have a few brief comments tonight. The first one are our senior handprints. This year's mural is a flower design located on the 3rd floor outside Mr. Mack's room. Seniors select a cinder block and they paint their hands with orange and yellow paint this year. And then Mrs. Spencer paints their name and their plans after high school on the handprint. This year's quote is, "Hoping for the best, prepared for the worst, and unsurprised by anything in between." This mural was created by Katie Updegrove. Senior balloons are also happening right now. Orders are in for the annual orange and black balloons for graduation. Be on the lookout for all of those colorful mailboxes because some people load up on those balloons. And then prom. Prom was a huge success and long anticipated after a crazy school year. The event took place outside at the estate at Farrington Lakes, and students enjoyed dancing, photo opportunities, and just seeing their peers all at once. To top it off, weather was cooperative, and it was a beautiful evening, and it was a night to remember for sure.
All right, so my first topic for tonight is peer leadership. Last month sadly marked the last and final breakout with our freshmen for this year. But then after that, the following Thursday, we had an in-person welcome ceremony and breakout for the upcoming peer leaders for next year. And it was a really nice event. It was fun to have a breakout that was actually in person instead of virtual. So we first had a meeting here in the auditorium where Hannah Peterson gave a welcome and introductory speech. And from there, we all broke out into smaller groups with senior peer leaders and the upcoming junior peer leaders. We made circles so that each grade level could have conversations within the center, and then those on the outside were listening. So the seniors started off in the center, and we answered questions from little cards and had a discussion about how peer leadership affected us and what we took from it and what we're learning throughout the experience. And then the juniors went into the center of the circle, and they spoke about their concerns and any questions that they had for the seniors. And it was really nice to get together and be able to have those in-person connections that we weren't truly able to make with the freshmen. And it was just nice to be able to have that in-person moment. So that was very exciting. And then from those breakouts, we came back into the auditorium where we had a little pass the torch ceremony. Amy Kim, Aiden Broadbent, and Agat Broody took to the stage. Aiden, wearing a toga, gave a speech, which was very dramatic and sentimental. And they then passed a little inflatable torch and threw it over to the upcoming juniors. They selected a few from the crowd. And it was a really nice ceremony. It was really fun, especially since for my year we didn't have one of those because of COVID just beginning. And so it was really nice to be able to give that to the upcoming seniors and be able to continue the tradition that had happened before us. My next topic is the Six Flags senior trip that will be happening the day after graduation. It is sponsored by the PTO, and the seniors will arrive at 9:30 on the 23rd to load onto buses, and we'll spend the day at Six Flags riding roller coasters. And I know all of my peers are very excited about it and very thankful and appreciative to the PTO for sponsoring and paying for this event. Another topic for tonight is Adopt a Senior. This event is an annual event where seniors fill out a Google form with information about themselves, such as snacks they enjoy, their favorite foods, where they're going to college, etc. And from there, they are randomly assigned to anyone who has signed up to adopt that senior, and those who have adopted the senior will go out and create gift baskets or gift bags and put together anything from the Google Forms that the senior has filled out. And they are then dropped off at the senior's house a few months later. And it was a fun little event that is kind of just really nice to have, especially in this crazy year, because it really just brought a smile to everyone's face. In my basket, I got a Tervis tumbler from my college, snacks, candy, some gift cards, and it was a really sweet and meaningful gesture from anyone who participated. And if you would like, there is a Facebook page or group. It's called Adopt a Senior Program, Somerville Class of 2021, and they posted pictures of everyone receiving their baskets and little descriptions and stuff, and it was really cool to go through and see what everyone else got. Another event that happened, recently was the Senior Awards. They were live streamed for parents. It was really well put together. Normally the athletic awards and the Senior Scholarship Awards would be held together, but this year they did it differently so that it would be more COVID safe. And we had all the seniors here in the auditorium, and we would each go up and receive our award. There was $96,000 given out over 90 students. And so I would like to say congrats to everyone who received the awards, as well as a thank you to each and every donor that participated in that. We also have the ice cream social and yearbook distribution on Thursday at 12:30 here at, I believe it's on the football field, and everyone will be able to interact with each other, and all the seniors will be able to be in person together, another event kind of like prom that was just nice to be able to be with everyone. And it's good to be able to get back into the normalcy somewhat without the masks and everything, so it's really nice. And finally, I would just like to say thank you for everyone who has allowed me to take part in this Board of Education. Thank you to Mr. Foley, Mr. Haid, Dr. Tehan, and I really appreciated the time that I had here in the past 2 years. It's been so surreal, just kind of really meaningful, and I really appreciate everything and everyone who has helped me. And although I am going very far for college, I will always be all in for the Ville. So thank you to everyone who has helped me be a part of this wonderful community.
Thank you very much. Before you run off, are there any questions or comments from board members for our student rep? Okay. Enjoy the next week. Enjoy all the activities kind of associated with graduation and the events that lead up to that. And again, I think, as you mentioned, it's I think very special that we have these opportunities now, because that wasn't a certain thing way back in September. So. And again, thank you just for your efforts. It's your updates have always been appreciated, and I know, there's one board member over here who's probably trying to hold it together right now. So, but you have places you have to go. So again, thank you so much. All right, we'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay, we're going to pick up where we left off. Student discipline, code of conduct. Melissa Steger.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Steger. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I'm speaking tonight about our district code of conduct. On June 3rd, representatives from the Vanderveer, SMS, and SHS teams met to review their code of conduct in each building and to make recommendations for the district code of conduct. Each building is committed to looking at their code of conduct this summer to ensure that the sections connected to discipline and dress code are free of bias and will communicate building level code of conducts to both staff and students at the beginning of the 21-22 school year. At this time, no changes to the district code of conduct are recommended. However, in light of our new equity principles and other legislation, we will look at our substance abuse and other policies during the 21-22 school year. Thank you.
Okay, next up will be our Tomorrow's Teachers program. Ms. Angela Flacker, I believe she has some students with her.
Okay. Hello. Hello. My name is Angela Flacker, and I am a social studies teacher at the high school. I have had the honor of teaching a brand new elective course this year called Tomorrow's Teachers. The purpose of this course is to expose students to careers in education and to hopefully home grow teachers within our Somerville and Branchburg communities. Even if my students do not become teachers, they have learned leadership skills that will hopefully help them become advocates for education in the future. My students have observed classrooms at Vanderveer, SMS, and SHS this year. They have participated in a field placement internship where they worked with a cooperating teacher and completed a portfolio assessment. They have had the opportunity to earn 4 college credits for this course through Fairleigh Dickinson University. And tonight I have 3 students joining me who will speak about their experiences: Allison, Jimmy, and Juliana.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison Sheets, and for my field placement with Tomorrow's Teachers class, I was in the Ms. Parcells and Mrs. Glinka's 3rd grade class at Vanderveer. And one of the first full lessons I taught in their class was Foundations, and for those of you who might not really know what that is just basic reading and writing skills for, the grade level that the students may be in this case it was 3rd grade. So these lessons would start out by me reading out a word to them, and they would have to write it down, and I and Ms. Glinka and Ms. Parcells would look and see if they spelled it correctly, used it in the right way, and just to make sure they understood, and that helped with their reading and hearing of the word. So the next thing we would do is this game we would call Race the Teacher, and that would be I would hold up a word on a note card, and whoever said it faster, either it was a student or me, would have to that'd be the ways that they could recognize it by seeing it, and normally they would win. And one of the final things we would do to end out the lesson would be them using that word in their own sentence. So I'd give them a word, and they would use it to write their own sentence, and that would just be a way that we, as the teachers, could make sure they fully grasped and understood the way that word meant and the way it was supposed to be used. I would also like to mention that this class was a fully virtual classroom, so that gave me, as a prospective teacher, a new way of looking at teaching, because this allowed me to see what all of our teachers had to go through this year with hybrid teaching, at least in the high school. That's what we did. I don't know about Vanderveer or the middle school, but for the high school, it's hybrid, and that really gave me a new perspective on teaching. And honestly, I feel better prepared for my future as a teacher, because I realized if I can handle, doing a virtual classroom with 9th graders who would get distracted, not 9th graders, 9-year-olds, sorry, my bad. And if I could handle the 9-year-olds who would get distracted by little things in their home and, could sometimes walk away from their camera, if I could handle that in the virtual setting, I could handle, a more structured classroom environment once I am, out of college and becoming a teacher. And so this class was really beneficial for me because it really solidified that I do want to be a teacher when I'm older, and that this is really a passion of mine. And I just want to thank Mrs. Parcells and Mrs. Glinka for being so welcoming for me into their classroom, and the students for really helping me understand that this is what I want to do when I'm older. So thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. Hi, my name is Jimmy Manalo. My food placement was with the social studies teacher from Somerville Middle School, Mr. Anderson. Going into such an impactful experience, I had no idea what I was going to face. I learned a lot from my field placement and picked up some things along the way that I hope to share with anyone who takes this amazing course in the near future. This is my advice to the future students who will be partaking in tomorrow's teachers in the coming years. Be open to new ideas and ways to create your lesson plan. The teacher you are assigned to has had experience with the students and teaching, so they'll pass on some of their knowledge onto you. When you're observing, make sure to take down keynotes such as how the teacher interacts with the students, some of the teacher's styles that they use, and their overall class environment. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're planning your lesson with your assigned teacher is to make sure to have fun with it. Make it interactive so the kids will enjoy and pay attention. And lastly, when you're presenting your lesson, go with the flow. It'll be nerve-wracking at first, but once you get into it, slowly but surely, everything unravels according to the plan. So don't worry about anything, and you'll be fine. Again, I'd like to thank Mr. Anderson for allowing me to have such a wonderful field placement experience. If it was not for him, I don't think I would have been able to pick up, I would have been able to undergo such an awesome and once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Juliana Perlman. My field placement was in the life skills classroom with Mrs. Spencer. In peer-to-peer last year, I got the opportunity to come into the life skills classroom every day during my study hall period to work with the students. It was during this time I knew I wanted to work with special needs students like them. My field placement gave me the opportunity. I got to see what it was like to be in an inclusive classroom and teach students like them. It was a major highlight of my senior year. Being in this field placement made me realize that I don't want to become a teacher anymore. Sorry, Ms. Flacker. I started looking at other careers and what else I could do that would still let me work with special needs children, and that led me to occupational therapy. This career would still let me work with special needs children, but let me choose to work either in a school or in a hospital setting and take care of pediatric patients, which is something I've always wanted to do. The Tomorrow's Teachers program really helped me figure out whether teaching was for me or not. It also let me figure out what I want to study in college and potentially do it the rest of my life. I want to thank you, Mrs. Spencer, for letting me have the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, Jimmy, and Juliana. I just want to take a moment to thank all of the other cooperating teachers this year. At Vanderveer, Christina Brophy, Karen Mack, and Alan Warner. At SMS, Olivia Edelman and Kat Johnson. And at SHS, Carissa Estrella, Karen Gorzinski, Ashley Russo, Jennifer Stafford, and Shannon Strunk. We are so appreciative that you have opened your classrooms to us during this very difficult year, and this program would not be possible without you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to district highlights for Vanderveer, grades PS5. During the May staff meeting, VDV's equity team facilitated an activity on recognizing implicit biases and provided tools for staff members to combat them when dealing directly with students in the classroom. The Cultural Awareness Committee raised $475 for the Trevor Project through staff donations. The Trevor Project is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to LGBTQ students. During Staff Appreciation Week, the Somerville Pre-K-8 PTO surprised the staff by providing coffee and donuts one morning from Dunkin' Donuts. Then, during lunch on another day, the PTO provided individually wrapped hoagie sandwiches and bags of chips for each staff member. The SAA also supplied candy treats, water, and soft drinks for the teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. Since all staff members assist with the supervision of students outside the building, Ms. Shaw and Mr. Reevy presented each staff member a black umbrella with gold VDV lettering and a poem that read, "You have VDV students covered, now you have VDV to cover you. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, VDV has the best teachers we know." The Girls on the Run team has concluded their spring program, and it was made up of 14 girls in grades 3 to 5. The weekly lessons are based on building social emotional skills that lead up to accomplishing the goal of the 5K run that took place on June 10th at Duke Island Park. This year's race was run by 14 girls. The coordinators, Mrs. Assad and Mrs. Agnello, and the volunteer coaches, Ms. Cody, Ms. Lozier, Ms. Maglione, and Mrs. Spears. The girls on the run team also took on a kindness project where they painted inspiring messages on rocks and placed them near the entrances of the buildings for students to read upon their arrival to school. For Somerville Middle School, congratulations to the record number of 19 SMS students who have met the criteria and were accepted into Somerset County Vocational Technical Schools for the 21-22 school year. The carpentry program received the most applicants and acceptances. However, the other programs that our students were accepted into are cosmetology, auto body, health occupations, graphic communications, electrical construction, agricultural sciences, mechatronics, engineering, and advanced manufacturing, law and public safety, and the culinary arts. The 2021 virtual spring concert was a major hit with the community in May, thanks to SMS parent Al Scott, who developed a YouTube link presentation. They were able to provide a community watch party that consisted of numerous families who watched the musical genius and talents of our students, led by our dedicated, talented, and passionate band teacher, Mr. Loretti. And that concludes district highlights, and we know that some of the recipients of the awards tonight might have other plans. I know some had to go earlier, so this is an opportunity for anyone else that's left that wants to leave can. Just a reminder that there's some refreshments outside for anyone that does leave. And back over to you, Mr. Kimmick.
Thank you, Dr. Tien. I also just want to extend thanks to Ms. Flacker and the 3 students that presented. You know, I think that's a wonderful program. It just provides some, I think, outstanding opportunities for students to just understand teaching and understand if that's a career they want to enter. So thank you for the presentations and just the insights into the program. Really, really wonderful things. So again, as Dr. Tien said, this is just an opportunity. Everybody's welcome to stay, but if there are people that you know, would like to leave at this point, this is the best time to do that. And we are going to move on now to our report of board items and committee reports. So we are done with our student board member report, and we're going to move on to finance. So Mr. Carlson?
Okay, I move that we approve items 1 through 16 upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Item number 1, the board secretary's financial reports. Item number 2, the acceptance of the monthly reports. Number 3 is the payroll. Number 4 is the bills list for the Vanderveer and middle school. Number 5 is line item transfers in the budget. Number 6 is to accept the donation to Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 7 is a non-public school security aid program. Number 8 is a employee health benefits. Number 9 is joint transportation contract between us and Bridgewater Addington Township. Number 10 is another joint transportation contract between the board and Bound Brook Board of Education. Number 11 is another joint transportation contract between the Board of Ed and Bound Brook Board of Education for the Midland School. And number 12 is disposal of obsolete materials. Number 13, deposit to capital tuition and emergency reserves within the budget. Number 14, storage building project at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 15, the roofing and HVAC replacement project at Vanderveer Elementary School. And number 16, the door replacement at Somerville Middle School and Vanderveer Elementary School.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carlson. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Puntillo is a second. Discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Okay, and I make a motion to approve that items number 17 through 30 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. On number 17, making the broker of record Brown & Brown for the employee health benefits. Item number 18, the bills list for Somerville High School and district-wide. Item number 19, the appointment of Board Labor Council. Item number 20, the Bayada Home Care Health Care Nursing Systems. Item number 21, the Maximum Healthcare Services. Item number 22, the joint transportation contract between the Board of Ed and Branchburg Education, Branchburg Township Board of Education. Item number 23, trash removal. Item number 24, the student athletic insurance. 25, the school New Jersey Insurance Group's Grant Safety Award resolution. Item number 26, the report of annual awarded contracts. And item number 27, the light fixture replacement at Somerville High School, Somerville Middle School, and Vanderveer Elementary School. Item number 28, a settlement approval of the Board of Education versus MO. Item number 29, the NASPO Master Agreement for Chromebooks. Item number 30, field trips.
So moved.
Second, is there a
Second.
Second. Dr. Sadin was the second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
I abstain on item 17 and vote yes on everything else.
Okay, Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
I abstain on 20 and 21, and yes to everything else.
Excuse me? Oh, okay, and Mrs. Olson? When did she arrive?
That was a yes.
We good? Okay. All right, moving on to curriculum, Ms. Van Horn?
The curriculum committee last met on May 21st. We discussed the summer programs, that they were on track. Registration had been coming in. It's now closed. We have reached capacity. The focus will be on enrichment. We have the summer algebra enrichment, the summer music and theater, and CARES enrichment, and we'll be adding some tutoring to the mix. We talked about a new teacher support program that's going to be needed with new hires. Next year, the plan is to more fully integrate the Linkit and Ready Benchmark data. And this summer, we are revising middle school math curriculum, K-5, writing the K-5 math curriculum, writing Algebra 2 curriculum, planning new units for social studies, writing the ALS curriculum, and updating the middle school science curriculum. And that's the committee report, and I make a motion to approve that items 1 and 2 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the Bridges in Mathematics Resources at Vanderveer. Number 2, Ready Classroom Mathematics Resources at Vanderveer.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Matthews was second. Okay, any discussion? All right. Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
And I move to approve that items 3 through 9 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 3 is the 2021-2022 Perkins Grant application. Number 4, Somerville High School textbook approval for the ALS class. Number 5, 2021-2022 bilingual program waiver request. Number 6, the strong evaluation model. Number 7, the 2020-2021 nursing service plan. The 2021-2022 safe return plan. And number 9, the travel expenditure resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Sergio? Okay, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Yes.
So we have another motion that's falling under curriculum, I believe. Is that a part of that? Okay. I just clarified. I didn't see it on the second page. Thank you. Okay. All right, Mr. Puntillo, buildings and grounds?
Yes, Vanderveer will repair the recirculating pump and motor, repair the HVAC system, HVAC unit, and all work orders at Vanderveer are being completed in a timely manner. At the middle school, they repair broken locks and repair the elevator. There also, the work orders are being completed in a timely manner. And at the high school, they repair the broken lock at the receiving floor, and also all work orders are being completed in a timely manner. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Sadin, Technology Committee?
Yes, I would love to go, but can you skip me for a minute while Melissa brings me the report that I...
Sure, that could be more than a minute, though. This could be like...
Oh, I can go last. It's all right.
Okay. All right, Mr. Shajil, the Athletics and Student Activities Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. President and Madam Vice President. Yes, this is the final athletics and activities report for the year 2020-2021 school year. I don't have any music right now, for I will have some music in a short moment. But just to give a quick recap of all these spring sports, and boy, it was some spring season. Let's go to track and field. Advancing to the Meet of Champions at South Plainfield at 12 p.m. on Saturday will be Maddie Shire, Kate Clarkson. Maddie Shire, I'm sorry, will be the 800 and 1600 meter relay. Kate Clarkson with the pole vault. Owen O'Neill with the javelin. Jamin Bryan the triple jump, and Brian Murphy in the pole vault. Okay. Maddie Shire broke both school records in the 800, especially with an astonishing 5 minutes, 7 seconds, and 7/10, okay, at the New Jersey Group Championships last weekend, placing her top 25 in the state. Okay, and as for the entire track and field team in May, okay, they are your Skyline Valley Conference champions, so let's give it up for them as well. We're going to go to the boys living the diamond life here. The baseball boys team, after a 19-3 record, your Ville Pioneers swung their way to the Group 3 state semifinals against an equal Cranford foe. They hung tough, but they fell just a bit short. Another fantastic year and another great run by your boys of the spring. This is, okay, with exception to last year, this is the second year in a row. Let's go back to 2018. They won their Group 3 championships in 2018 and went to the semifinals in 2019 and 2021. So let's give that up to Coach Chris Banos, who now has secured his 100th career win at the Ville. So I'm going to give him some kudos. Lacrosse, your boys lacrosse team for 2 years in a row took it all the way to the Group 2 semifinals and fought a tough wall team behind Colin Williamson and Lorenzo Verona, scoring 3 goals apiece, yet they did fall a bit short. So, but we will give it up to them. And for the ladies living the diamond life, congrats to senior Grace Jensen, Caroline Steerle, Gianna DePinto on being named first team All-Valley Division in Skyline Conference. Carly Maroney and Abby Lawson made it to the second team. So, and for golf, okay, for the first time in who knows how long, the boys took out the big drivers and clobbered their field by going 12-0 and 8-0 in the Skyline Conference and competing in the Tournament of Champions. I'm going to give that up to them as well. Okay. So those are some quick hits on a really astonishing spring season. Now, what I'd like to do is talk about our class of 2021 character seniors. Wow, you know, it feels like we've heard this song before naturally. Last year, the pandemic took away all the spring sports and clubs. We went through the summer hoping things would improve. To a degree, they did. The spirit of competition was not taken away in the fall and winter, but there was something missing. Okay, the students, the fans, the pack, and everyone to cheer on the Ville. Okay, attendance went into the virtual space through YouTube Live and other platforms. So if you didn't hear the cheering in person, okay, we were all there for you through the digital voice. Trust me, we were there. And although you had to adjust to a new normal, the class of 2021, just like your predecessors in 2020, dug deep, tightened the laces a little tighter, and went out there with a drive and determination that defines the Ville. Okay? Now, here we are at the end of 2021. Who thought it would come so quickly? Although you, the Ville character builders, have had to navigate through plenty, you looked out for each other, the students, you looked out for your family, you looked out for your neighbors, and you looked out for your friends. Now, although not out of the woods yet, things are looking forward, and the promise of life as we knew it, again to a degree, is taking shape. Okay, now you, the seniors, the athletes, the club members, the singers, the musicians, on behalf of the Athletics and Activities Committee, Director Tim Davis, and the Board of Education, along with Dr. Teen and Mr. Boyce, this tribute that we're about to show is for you. You who are ready to leave here and take on the world. Before we play this video, though, there are too many persons that I need to thank, so I pray I get them all. You all know who you are. Here's a list of few. As I mentioned, Dr. Teen, Mr. Boyce, and the Board of Education, who support you every day. Athletic Director Davis, who, along with his staff and one retiring, worked tirelessly with the conference and the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association, you know, through everything thrown at him to make sure the schedules were executed as safely as possible. My hat's off to you, sir. Okay, my executive producer, who wishes to remain nameless, but I will say once again, you have topped yourself. We started even earlier this year and still put in the late nights making sure that this video with the music and the pictures and the videos matched, and it was as best as we can do it. This video you're about to see does not happen without my pal, and I owe you more than you'll ever know. So now, without further ado, class of 2021, this is for you. Tyler, will you assist me, please?
on another birthday cake. Old enough to look back and laugh at my mistakes. Young enough to look at the future and like what I see. My best days are ahead of me. Life hasn't always been a party, but mostly it's been good. There's only one or two things that I'd change if I could. I don't get lost in the past or get stuck in some sad memory. Yeah, my best days are ahead of me. Age ain't nothing but a number. Sometimes I have to wonder, what does it really mean? And hey, I'm still putting it together. I keep getting better. If I keep getting better, I can be whatever I wanna be. My best days are ahead of me. Age ain't nothing but a number. Sometimes I have to wonder, what does it really mean? Hey, I'm still putting it together. I keep getting better. If I keep getting better, I can be whatever I wanna be. My best days are ahead of me. I've got sunsets to witness, dreams to dance with, beaches to walk on, and lovers to kiss. There's a whole lot of world out there that I can't wait to see. My best days are ahead of me. My best days are ahead of me.
Class of 2021, excuse me, I hope you liked the video. It was a true testament to you and everything that you will become. Now, as you move on to your college, career, or military endeavors, we hope that the lessons both in and out of the classroom guide you through the decisions you make as you shape yourself through life. Hey, remember this. There are two outcomes to the decisions that you make. You'll succeed or you're going to grow. If you follow your past with that in mind, I promise you, your life will be a win-win scenario. Now go out there, drive the positive change you want to see, come back and teach the other pioneers how it's done. And may the best of your past be topped by everything that you do in the future, and may you always live by example. So thank you very much. And I think I do have a resolution before I say back to you. And so with this resolved, that the Board of Education of the Somerville Public School District in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, as provided for in Chapter 172 of the laws of 1979, hereby enrolls Somerville High School as a member of the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association to participate in the approved interschool athletic program sponsored by the NJSIAA. And I so move, sir.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Jazz, second. Any discussion? Before we vote, I'll just say, Mr. Sugil, thank you very, very, very much for putting that together, and just the words that you shared, I think, with the community about just the efforts this year, the successes that the students had this year. You know, that video when I first saw it, some of us are expressing how we all feel about that, but it is something, again, especially if you have a senior this year, means a great deal. So.
And I thank you, sir. If I may reiterate one more time, I did not do this alone, naturally, and I do want to thank my dear friend, my executive producer, for helping me with this.
All right.
So. Dinner's on me.
All right. Mr. Boyce, can you?
Yes, Ms. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Mr. Puntillo. Dr. Sadin.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we go up to technology, if we could, Dr. Sadin?
Yes, we're ready now, thank you.
Great, thank you.
There were a number of live stream events. When we all moved into this remote world, the technology department that was already superior in this district really rose to the top to make all of these live stream opportunities occur. Senior Awards, Best of Broadway, the athletic awards, the Board of Ed meetings that they are always streaming for us, and graduation will be included in that. Students in grades preschool to 11 will keep their Chromebooks this year. They don't need to turn them back in. Seniors, please turn your Chromebooks back in. Secondary staff devices are collected on June 21st. Preparing the tech resources for the summer programs is a big job, and they are very busy working on that. The cybersecurity training is a non-ending issue, and they continue to work on that. And of course, continuing to purchase the new Chromebooks that the 6th graders and the incoming 9th graders will be distributed in August. The reason that I wanted to get this report from Melissa McEntee, I certainly could have remembered most of that from the meeting that we had in early June, but Melissa and I both would like to thank her team by name, and I was so afraid that I would leave someone out. So thank you to Joe Chavone, Corey Wiest, Kevin Harris, Glenn Bowden, Tyler Kazar, Andrew Steinmetz, and Sheila Deck. Thank you all very much for your very hard work. And Melissa McEntee, I thank you. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve alongside you on this committee. Thank you very much for all that you do for the Ville. She's hiding behind me.
That's where she is. All right, thank you, Dr. Sadin. Dr. Tien, how many streaming things did we have to do this spring? Do you remember?
I know they had an original max, which all the different groups blew away. So the technology department had to step up and do even more. So Melissa McEntee would know the exact number, or even Tyler, since he is involved in many of them. Lost count.
Yeah,
There you go.
I know. I just want to thank, really, to echo Dr. Sadin's, this has been an incredibly unusual year just with everything, but I think to culminate that, the number of streaming productions that have taken place, in addition to board meetings, that type of thing, has really gotten to a point that it's just constant. And you know, that department has just been working just incredibly hard behind the scenes just to make things happen and to make them happen well. So I want to echo Dr. Sadin's comments and just again thank that entire group, because it's been a mammoth task this year, and they did a wonderful job with it. So
I just want to add in, we do have a couple of student members that have been helping out tremendously too. 2 of them are here tonight, so thanks to them too. They've been at a couple of these board meetings doing this.
okay, so we're going to move on to the Ad Hoc Equity Committee. Ms. Matthews is now the chairperson of this committee, so congratulations, Ms. Matthews, and if you could give us an update, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe at our last meeting, we talked about the new Ad Hoc Equity Committee. So we have adopted, which we will be voting on tonight, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, to approve the equity principles. They're quite long and winded, and they are on this agenda, so I'm going to allow you all to read them yourself, and I'll just give you an update on the committee. The Board's Equity Committee met on the 4th of May and June 9th. The May 4th meeting was mainly to discuss the establishment and the purpose of the goals of the Board Equity Committee. The June 9th meeting accomplished the following. We discussed the equity process that was followed in Somerville for the past 6 years. We reviewed the latest district and building equity teams' accomplishments, which include reviewing each team's principle and sharing thoughts using a Jamboard, created equity principles that are being approved at tonight's meeting, which will inform each team as they move forward in their equity work, and each building has identified planned action for the upcoming school year. The Board Equity Committee had a robust conversation about where we started as a district, where we are currently, and where we hope to be in the future in our equity work. The board has invited Dr. Fergus, who has been providing guidance to the district over the past couple of years, to meet with the entire board to update them on the work that has been undertaken in the district, and will brainstorm ways the board can support current and future equity efforts in this district. We have been working in equity, as this says, for the last 6 years, and Dr. Fergus out of Temple University did do a PD day, which I was really grateful to attend, and I am looking forward to keeping you all apprised of the continued efforts and successes of the Equity Committee. So, may I get a second?
Okay. Second was Mr. Sergio. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, thank you for that report. Very well done. All right.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Pontillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Okay, this next item is, again, not an update, but really just notification to the public about the formation of an ad hoc communication committee. This would be a committee, again, that is focused on, I think, really evaluating just communication practices within the district. A particular note was discussions around the idea of really student voice, engaging students in different ways that they could communicate directly with board members, but other stakeholders as well. Again, this is a committee that is just forming, so right now we have 2 board members that are serving on this. Mr. Sergio graciously offered his services. I will also be serving on the committee. And again, this is something that is ad hoc in nature right now, but I know we've also had discussions, Dr. Tian, with other board members about the possibility of reformatting our committees in the future as well, and that would be something that would be potentially something that could come out of this communication committee as well, a discussion around whether or not this would need to be a standing committee and not just an ad hoc committee. So the work around that committee is something, again, that has, I think, a lot of promise, but it's really here for an opportunity. If there are any board members that would like to make a comment about that committee, this is the opportunity to do that right now. There's not a particular motion that needs to be made around this or board action that has to take place, but it is something that is on the agenda in case any board members would like to make comment.
I'm looking forward.
Mr. Pontillo, and then we'll go to Ms. Matthews, okay? All right.
Yeah, this is a committee that I've been looking at all the school board conferences every year I attend, like the public relations, marketing, and it's something that I really wish we could put more effort into. The better the communication with all stakeholders in the district is really important. So I hope one of the things we do is evaluate what we have and show what we do have, because I think what we do have is extensive. But that doesn't mean that we can't improve it and find a way to get our message out even more clearly. I also would like to ask that if I could participate.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
I was just going to echo what he said, so.
And you'd like to participate too?
Sure.
Okay. All right. And again, I think we have a number of ad hoc committees that are taking place as a board. We formed an ad hoc equity committee. Now we have an ad hoc communications committee. There's only so many board members to go around with this work. So that, I think, is something for all board members to think about with regard to the kinds of committees that are written into policy for the board. And is that something that going forward we need to have a discussion around and actually make some recommendations regarding the standing committees that we have in place right now, and whether or not it's time to make a change to policy so we have a different focus in terms of some of the work that we have. So, but that would be something that I think would involve the policy committee and adjustments to that as well. So, all right, moving on. So, Mr. Pontillo, we have the ad hoc negotiations committee update.
Yes, a motion to approve item 1 to be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Education and the Somerville Education Association.
Do we have a second? Mr. Jess? Okay, is a second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
I've got to abstain on this
Okay.
for personal reasons.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Okay, personnel update, Dr. Tian?
Okay, for PS8, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. Appointments and salaries contingent upon verified documentation. Number 1, to approve the appointment of Sarah Riley for summer guidance counselor work. Number 2, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of instructional assistant for the extended school year program. Number 3, to approve the appointment of Matthew Bloom to the position of instructional assistant for the extended school year program. Number 4, to approve the appointment of Jacob DePaulo to the position of teacher of English. Number 5, to approve the appointment of Jessica Pietrocatella to the position of teacher of social studies. Number 6, to approve the appointment of Lamar Robinson to the position of teacher of 4th grade. Number 7, to approve the appointment of Reed Manglione to the position, leave replacement position, teacher of 4th grade. Number 8, to approve the appointment of Nancy Barbaro to the position of preschool secretary. Number 9, to approve the appointment of Joseph Clark to the position of teacher of 4th grade. Number 10, to approve the newly created ESSER 3 funded position of INRS coordinator interventionist at Vanderveer. Number 11, to approve the appointment of Jessica Myers to the newly created ESSER 3 funded position of INRS coordinator interventionist at Vanderveer. Number 12, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of substitute for the summer cares program, enrichment program. Number 13, to approve an increase in hours for Allison Corn, school nurse, for the summer cares program. Number 14, to approve the appointment of Nicole Pepe to the partially ESSER 2 funded full-time 12-month position of instructional coach. Number 15, to approve the appointment of Anna Munoz to the partially ESSER 2 funded full-time 10-month position of instructional coach. Number 16, to approve the listed individuals to serve as staff members to the position of tutor for the 2021 summer virtual tutoring program. Number 17, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to write curriculum during the 2021 summer. Number 18, to approve the appointment of Paige Allen to provide counseling services for at-risk youth for the summer 2021, and that'll be paid out of the ESSER 2 grant. Number 19, to approve the listed staff members to run a transition group for virtual students over the summer, and that will be paid out of the ESSER 3 grant. And number 20, to accept the resignation of Lonnie Peruso from the assistant principal of Somerville Middle School. Number 21, to accept the resignation of Ellen McNanny from the position of teacher special education at Vanderveer. Number 22, to approve the appointment of Kirsten Whitmore to the position of teacher of English. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Sarah Harrington to the position of teacher of science.
Okay, we need a first and a second on these. So
Motion.
is there, Mr. Puntillo was a motion,
Second.
and a second was Dr. Sadin. And is there any discussion?
Sir, just on item 20, Lanny, I don't know if she's still here, but I just want to wish you the best in all of your endeavors. I remember the winter concerts, talking and laughing with you, and I consider you a friend as well, so best of luck to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sedil. Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Matthews? Yes. Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
For 9 through 12 and district-wide, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. Appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number 24, to approve the appointment of Carrie Ireland for work in coordinating all substitute coverage at Somerville High School during the 21-22 school year. Number 25, to approve the appointment of Timothy Corrigan to the newly created position of Teacher of Business Education at Somerville High School. Number 26, to approve the appointment of Rosemary King to the position of K-12 Curriculum and Instruction Supervisor, district-wide. Number 27, to approve the appointment of Michael Scamba to the position of Weight Room Supervisor for the 2021 summer. Number 28, to approve the appointment of Hal Nugent to the position of Summer Custodian, Maintenance Helper, Painter, and that'll be over the summer months. Number 29, to approve the appointment of all Somerville High School teaching staff to serve as tutors, Apex monitors for the 21-22 school year. Number 30, to approve the appointment of Christine Guerriero to school nurse at Somerville High School to work on student health plans during the summer months. Number 31, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of color guard advisors for the 21-22 fall season. Number 32, to rescind the appointment of Ronald Bernstein from the newly created position of maintenance technician. Number 33, to rescind the appointment of Walter Hager from the position of part-time bus driver. Number 34, to approve the appointment of Kevin Ramirez to the position of maintenance technician. Number 35, to approve the appointment of Anna Hackett to the position of part-time bus driver. Number 36, to approve the appointment of Todd Graves to the position of custodian. Number 37, to approve the appointment of Margaret Figueroa Duran to the position of courier bus aide for the 21-22 school year. Number 38, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to write curriculum during the 21 summer. Number 39, to approve the appointment of Ashley Josie to provide counseling services for at-risk youth during the summer of 21, and that will be through the ESSER 2 grant. Number 40, to approve the appointment of Dana Morocco to run a transition group for virtual students during the summer 21. That'll be paid from the ESSER 3 grant. Number 41, to approve the appointment of Laura Kohlhofer to the position of teacher of English as a second language. Number 42, to approve the listed job descriptions. Number 43, to approve the following changes to job titles. No, it was Pinto.
No, it was Dan.
Oh, it was Dan Carlson.
Carlson, and then over here, so Ms. Matthews was second. Any discussion? My mic's not on. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes on 24 through 30. I'm going to abstain on 31, and yes on 32 to 43.
Okay. Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes on everything, but I abstain from 31.
And Mrs. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyce and Dr. Tian for that. All right, okay, moving on to the next agenda item, old business. Is there any old business from board members? No. Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close old business?
So moved.
All right, Ms. Matthews, and the second was Mr. Sajil. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right, moving on to new business. Is there any new business from board members? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close new business?
So moved.
Mr. Carlson,
Second.
and a second of Ms. Van Horn. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right, so now we've moved on to the hearing of the public regarding agenda items on non-agenda items. So at this time, comment is invited on any matter related to the school district. Again, when permitted, public participation is governed by the rules that are actually posted within the agenda. We would ask when you approach the mic that you provide your name and your address as well. And just remember that the comments are generally limited to about 3 minutes in duration, so we would just ask that people be respectful of that time limit. Okay, so if there's anybody who would like to approach the mic. I'm not sure, does the mic matter? How about the center one we'll use?
Okay, I think it works. My name is Debbie Cordigiani, 16 Lexington Road in Basking Ridge. Good evening. I taught ESL at SMS from September 2008 until May 2021, and I'm the third teacher to have resigned from the middle school this year. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the PTO for all they provided for us during Teacher Appreciation Week. We are so grateful to you for all that you did, and we needed it more than you could have imagined, especially since our building administrators did nothing for us that week. It was nice to feel appreciated. It's been a hard year for all stakeholders in the community, and teachers, just like students, have never needed more support than they did this year. I am here tonight because I want you to know that morale is dangerously low at the middle school. Please don't dismiss this as just the result of the pandemic. This is different, because what you need to realize is that morale was already extremely low even before COVID began. In fact, morale at SMS had already been progressively declining every year since Rob Reevy left our school to go to Vanderveer. It's been a long time since that school had the leadership it deserves. Teachers at SMS feel unsupported, disrespected, and unappreciated. Let me give you some recent examples to support my claim. First, there's an overall lack of communication. The ability to communicate with building administration has diminished significantly. The main office's new physical setup reflects this. It's difficult to meet with a principal before instruction begins and ends because for whatever reason, he is often not in the building. Many teachers have found it difficult to meet with him, which also adds to the missing presence of administrators in general in our building. Second, there's a lack of transparency. Teachers knew of COVID cases this year that were not communicated to the public, and as a result, we were often concerned about our safety and the safety of our families. In addition, decisions were often made by administrators stating they were made with teacher input when they were not. Third, lack of respect. If something goes wrong, it is frequently implied that it is because the teachers didn't do enough. Nowhere is this more evident than when there was a COVID positive case in a classroom. There are so many better ways to ask about a teacher's exposure to this illness than being aggressively grilled with, did you violate COVID safety protocol and get closer to 6 feet to your students, especially if the teacher was, like me, often placed in situations where that was unavoidable. Finally, there's a double standard. Grace is often given to administrators in ways not available to teachers. For example, building administrators and administrative support staff were out for an entire week before spring break. No one informed us that they would be absent, when they would return, or why they were out, but it was obvious that these individuals were self-isolating at home due to possible COVID exposure. This was a safety measure that, until that time, had never been offered to teachers. There's more, but my time is limited. My last in-person day at SMS was the Friday of Teacher Appreciation Week. I didn't leave on bad terms, but neither my principal, vice principal, nor my supervisor felt the need to say goodbye or thank me for my 12 years of service. To further demonstrate how insensitive our administration is in managing people, they fired 5 teachers on the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week. They couldn't wait another week. The dismissal of these individuals is a cruel blow dealt to the children of Somerville. This is truly Somerville's loss. This loss, combined with the low morale of the remaining teachers at SMS, certainly does nothing to improve student achievement. Consider the first 3 resignations at SMS as your canary in the coal mine. Many teachers I know have been looking for positions elsewhere, or to retire early, or resign. Many others say they would if they could. These are the people who have spent years dedicating themselves to the children of Somerville. Somerville has invested a lot of money and time recruiting, training, and developing these talented professionals. It's a shame that this money and talent is wasted just because of poor management. And when our union leader says that there's a problem, it's also a shame that you would try to minimize it and deny its magnitude. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Vosk, and I live at 3 South Middaw Street. In March, the SEA voted no confidence in the superintendent, Dr. Teehan's leadership. The board has repeatedly spoken against the SEA, demeaning and dismissing the requests for action and assistance. I have witnessed this in the board's extremely biased comments during meetings, the way the meeting minutes are tailored to present the narrative of their choosing, the blatant disrespect by coloring and looking away when people are speaking, and in your response to these concerns about Dr. Tehan. We put faith in the Board of Education to make the best choices for our district. Our kids are happy because they have amazing teachers, and so we assume everything is smooth sailing. In reality, some teachers get up and go to school every day knowing that they work for people who do not support them, and they are not able to freely speak about their experiences for fear of retaliation from leadership. This is probably what hurt me the most. We would never know. Our teachers consistently go above and beyond. Many of the teachers in this district have impacted the lives of my kids in ways that I could never repay them for. My oldest daughter has submitted glowing reviews of Mr. Anderson and Mr. Ciani's interactions with her to the online comments in lieu of time. As of this May, they have both been fired. When I began to draw awareness to what was happening in our district, I was told by Dr. Tehan and the board members through different channels that I simply don't understand. I understand the difference between right and wrong, and there are many things happening in this district that are wrong. I understand that without teachers who are treated fairly, we cannot provide the best education for our children. I understand that our reopening plan only benefited privileged families in a Title I district where at least 40% of the students are low income, and that there was ample time to develop a plan and have it ready to add on hours to the school day as the CDC lifted restrictions like so many other districts did. There is so much more I would like to comment on. The turnover rate of teachers, the non-renewals in this district, and the shocking number of administrative positions, as well as all of the alarming concerns that have been privately shared with me by teachers. As time is limited, I will have to advocate for those causes at a later meeting. I am here to request that the board initiates a third-party, non-biased investigation into the allegations made into the resolution by the SEA. I have a petition with the signatures of 85 taxpayers requesting the same. We do not believe the board is capable of reviewing these allegations on their own based on their previous actions. My 4 children are at home watching this to show them that you must stand up for people who cannot stand up for themselves, that it's important to call out injustice when you see it. And Somerville teachers, I see you. I see the injustices you are facing. If the toxic environment you are experiencing as an employee of this district does not change, I urge you to look for a position in a district that will value you, as so many other former Somerville teachers have already done. Do not mistake my words. I hope each and every one of you make your entire career here. I value you and what you contribute to this community so greatly. It's with love and respect I say resign. Perhaps then the board will finally listen. I'd like to urge the board to bill by example. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Loya. I live at 285 Grove Street here in Somerville, and I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to say a few words tonight. When I first thought about getting up and speaking, I wondered what a lot of people probably wonder. What's the point? Does it even matter? And maybe it doesn't, but I felt like to get up and show our kids that you should speak up for things, to show friends and other parents, to encourage them to speak up, but more importantly, to speak up for the teachers who cannot speak up. And I really just wanted to say a little bit about what my experience has been like having children in the district here at Somerville. I'm not from Somerville. I'm not even from New Jersey. I married someone from Somerville who, given his love for the town, convinced me to settle here, raise our children here. Where I went to school in Maryland, we probably had 10 elementary schools that fed into 5 middle schools that fed into 1 or 2 high schools. So when I graduated in 1997, we probably had 2,000 people. A lot different than, I don't even think there was 800 students in Somerville High School in 1997. So it's really that small, I think, hometown feel of Somerville that's really kind of drawn me to this. I have 2 children. I have a 7th grade daughter and a daughter in 2nd grade. And to be totally honest, I can't think of one complaint that I have about the teachers that they've had here. We've gone through Vanderveer. We are in the middle school. The teachers really have cared about my children just as much as I do. They've listened to every concern that I've had. They've been amazing. And to any of them listening, to any of them that's here, I just want to say thank you. I'm lucky this year that I had the opportunity to work both in my office while my children attended in person, but also to have some time to work at home while they attended their virtual portion of the day. My 7th grader is amazing. She does her own thing. I don't have to worry about her. She has been able to make high honor roll all 4 marking periods, and I attribute a lot of that to the exceptional teachers that she's had at the middle school. My 2nd grader, on the other hand, she needs a little bit more supervision. I'm one of those parents who make her do virtual in the same room as me. I want to hear what's going on. I want to make sure that she's paying attention. And I have been impressed with the teachers. Mrs. Lazarte, you have been amazing, and the talent that you have to balance the students that are in person and the students that are virtual at the same time have astounded me. To Mr. Warner, Mr. Derflinger, Senora Lamarca, Mrs. Tatvick, Mrs. Hellwig, Mrs. Salvatore, bravo. I know this has not been easy for you, and I'm beyond impressed by your hard work and dedication. I applaud you for the job that you did this year, and I sincerely hope the board will applaud you also. They deserve at least that. As you can imagine, learning recently of the teachers at Somerville Middle School whose contracts were not reviewed for next year sparked a great deal of concern for the parents in Somerville. For me personally, learning that 2 of my oldest daughter's favorite teachers, Mr. Anderson and Mrs. Hobbs, found out on the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week that their contracts were not being renewed made me not question their teaching abilities, but question those who make such decisions. When I heard Mr. Anderson's contract was not renewed, my heart sank. My 7th grader cried. She cried. I cried with her. I remember speaking to him during parent-teacher conference earlier in the year. The first thing he said to me was, I know this is a crazy year for everybody. I just wanted to take a minute to ask you, how are you doing? And I thought, wow, he's asking about me. Nobody's ever asked about me through this whole thing. My daughter has had one question through this whole thing, why? And unfortunately, I cannot answer that for her. We felt the same way finding out what happened with Mrs. Hobbs. My family has known her for probably almost 9 years when she taught my oldest daughter at pre-K in Kindercastle. Somerville is about community. It's about supporting one another. And if the kids can't be heard and the teachers can't be heard, it is our job as the parents, the grandparents, and the community of Somerville to make their voices heard. To the teachers who are listening tonight, just know that we love you. We appreciate you, we support you, and we want to fight for you to have the work environment that you deserve. Thank you.
My name is Bronwyn Pucci of 63 West Orchard Street in Somerville. Last month, I learned that the Somerville Education Association held its vote of no confidence in Superintendent Tehan. Today, I am requesting that the Board of Education initiate a non-biased third-party review of the SEA's allegations. As a parent and a taxpayer, I am concerned that our teachers' voices are not being heard. My children have had stellar experiences with a number of great Somerville teachers, and I am looking ahead to 13 more years as a Somerville Public School District parent. As I've had the opportunity to listen to teachers' comments over the last month, I've become increasingly concerned that we will continue to lose our talented teachers as word continues to spread about a toxic environment here in our schools. At the Board of Education meeting on March 16th, Mr. Frayne read a resolution on behalf of the SEA regarding its vote of no confidence in the superintendent. The specifics and details of that resolution were left out of the meeting minutes, although the same minutes included the full text from people who spoke in support of Dr. Tehan. Since the board reviews and approves its own meeting minutes, there is no accountability should they wish to omit something they consider critical or which goes against their own wishes and beliefs. We hear from the Board of Ed that they welcome public involvement, but the reality is that Dr. Tehan and the board continually find ways to silence the voices of concerned teachers, parents, and taxpayers. I have attended meetings where the agendas were deliberately stacked so that anyone wishing to make a public comment would have to wait through several hours of agenda before a chance to speak. This appears to be an attempt to discourage the public from staying at the meetings long enough to voice their own opinions. I have attended meetings where the board president cut off public comment at their own discretion, despite there being a number of people still waiting to speak. In 35 weekly messages from Dr. Tehan, Board of Education meetings were mentioned in only 5 of those letters. First, back on September 25th, without any specifics about meeting dates and times, and then not again until May 14th. Then, evidently only in response to discussions on social media among parents. It is disingenuous to say you welcome involvement from the public, while at the same time withholding the information about how to do so or making it difficult to access. In light of the attempts to silence dissenting voices at board meetings, it comes as no surprise that our excellent teachers experience the same treatment. Over the last few months, as parents have worked tirelessly to spread the word, raise awareness, and provide an anonymous forum for teachers to share their thoughts without fear of retaliation, Dr. Tehan and the Board of Ed have doubled down on their gaslighting. They tell us that they have everything under control, that the concerned teachers are a vocal minority, and that we don't understand the full picture. An independent review can provide the details that we are supposedly missing, and if Dr. Tehan and the board have been truthful and above board until now, they should have no objection to a review. Any reasonable person would agree that the Somerville Education Association's allegations deserve to be investigated, because if this situation continues to spiral out of control, then it is our students who will continue to lose out. As our elected officials, the Board of Education has a responsibility to the entire district to prove that they are all in for the Ville and initiate a non-biased third-party review. Thank you.
I don't know then who would do it.
Hello, Danny Tiplady, 15 Hamilton Street, Somerville, New Jersey. As you can see, I have 18 more years in this district. I am very concerned about the comments that I have heard from teachers that I have had the privilege of hearing from over the past month. I ask that the Board of Education initiate a non-biased third-party review of the Somerville Education Association's allegations into the no confidence of Superintendent Dr. Tehan. Thank you.
Good evening, Pat Frayne, 201 Scobie Lane, Somerset, New Jersey. As professionals need, new teachers are met with a high level of satisfaction in the working environment, and problems will be experienced resulting of continuation of employment. The decrease in mobility of new teaching staff will result in the growing understanding of instructional practices and stability of districts' teaching teams, which will positively impact students' building and district performance. Quality schools and stability of teaching staff within districts positioning impact, my handwriting's a mess, of students' learning, whereas teachers' mobility impacts the education of students, resulting in inadequate school performance. I hope that sounds familiar. I do agree with those terms. All right, those terms are from Dr. Tehan's dissertation for his doctorate. Back in 2017, right before he became the superintendent of the schools here, and he's right. Maintaining and holding teachers here in a positive environment will do nothing more. That's the epitome of helping the students in this district. Dr. Tehan became a superintendent in 2017. Since July of 2017, going through the minutes and agendas, I counted 90 people, 90 teachers and aides who have retired or who have resigned. 90 people, that's a lot. I did request the number of Somerville Education Association members that had their contracts non-renewed. I'm still waiting for that information from Mr. Boyce. I do have to say, for the most part, any OPRA I did request, for the most part, they have been good with that, so I'm sure this is just an oversight. But 90 people that resigned, along with the retirees, with an informal account of the non-reneweds, I would have to say that's probably about 130 educators since 2017. That's a third of the entire staff. Almost all of those who retired or quit came to me for advice when they were leaving because they wanted to know exactly what they were entitled to when they were leaving. Almost every single one of them said they would have loved to have stayed here longer, but the hostile work environment that's been brought on here by the upper management here has really just stifled their voice and stifled they don't feel comfortable here anymore, unfortunately. It doesn't have to be like this. I brought this up several times, and I'm going to bring this up again. All right, communication that's the key here. You don't trust me, I don't trust you, but you know what? This isn't about me, and it's not about you. This is about the kids who go to this district. If we just open up that communication, we could do something about the attrition rate in this school. I'm here. Talk to me, all right? I'm willing to talk to you. By all means, please, let's open up those doors of communication, and let's get this going. Stop this exodus of people leaving this district right now. It's doing nothing but having a negative effect on the students of this district and the community as a whole. It's such a fantastic community, and it's just being cut in half right now by this. So please, consider the Rutgers Administration Union Coalition. Thank you very much. Have a great night, and be safe and enjoy your summer.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Bell. I'm teacher here at Somerville and also co-grievance chair. I want to address some comments that were made at the board meeting when the SEA presented the vote of no confidence and the negative culture here at Somerville. Mr. Jess, you made the comment that you didn't understand why some of the grievances couldn't be resolved with a conversation. Well, the SEA just had an arbitration where meetings that Sharon Gornick and I had with admins to try to resolve an issue before starting the grievance process were held against us by the board attorney. Therefore, moving forward, we will have to start the grievance process right away without having the option to work it out, and we do not want it that way. I'm also here tonight because I have yet another grievance to present to you. A board member made the comment that went something to the effect of, the vote of no confidence was made by only a few exec board members of the SEA. I stand here today as a co-grievance chair to tell you that is simply not true. As a co-grievance chair, the staff in Somerville come to us when they feel they are being mistreated or that something wrong is happening to them. We wish we didn't have to be here at every board meeting presenting so many grievances, but we do it because it's our job to represent our members and uphold the contract. The number of grievances and legal battles that we have had in just the last 3 years speaks to the unhappy culture of Somerville. In addition to now not being able to try to work things out with the admin, Dr. Teehand and you guys would rather spend lots of money on arbitrations and legal fees than trying to work it out with staff and give the money to the hardworking teachers who go above and beyond to give the very best to the students, or put that money spent on the legal fees back into the schools for supplies or infrastructure. And finally, in working with the SCEA and the NJA, Somerville apparently now has the reputation of having one of the worst relationships between staff and superintendent in Somerset County. So I ask you, is this what you want for our district? I love working here with my students and my staff at the high school. I chose to come to Somerville for the amazing students, the diversity, and my beloved English department. And I do not want to be known more for being a grievance chair and standing up here and having to fight for the contract instead of being a teacher. Are you ready for change?
Okay, at this time, are there comments on the stream, Ms. McAtee?
Can't hear you.
Patricia Rogers, 1238 Route 202, Branchburg. Last year, employees of the Somerville School District who were the parents of a graduating senior were invited to award their child with their diploma during the graduation ceremony. I am requesting that the same courtesy and privilege be extended to the employees of the Branchburg Township School District. I believe myself and Carolyn Jervin are the only two Branchburg School District employees who have a child graduating. We would both greatly appreciate this opportunity. Susan Lacerda, 76 North Clark Ave, Somerville, New Jersey. I am writing in tonight not only as a taxpayer and a parent of a Somerville High School student, but also as an alumnus, SHS class of 1985. Dr. Tian, thank you for leading our district through this pandemic. The last 15 months have been very difficult for everyone. Under your leadership, the Somerville schools have not only stayed open, but the administration, teachers, and students have stayed safe. Education was different this year. Under your guidance, Somerville made it work. I personally have not agreed with every decision, but your decisions kept our schools open and everyone safe. I would also like to say thank you to Mr. Foley and the entire SHS administration. SHS not only stayed open for in-person, hybrid learning and virtual learning, but our students were able to participate in fall, winter, and spring sports, operate their clubs with in-person meetings the second half of the year, host a drama production, host a live outdoor spring choral concert with guests, enjoy a junior-senior prom. This week, our seniors were also able to enjoy many of their last senior activities, including graduation next Tuesday. This year was not a year that our students would call normal, but it is close as possible given the pandemic. To all teachers in the Ville, thank you. Like every other profession, the way you did your job changed overnight. More was asked of you. Different ways of teaching were required. You rose to the challenge. We thank you. We support you. To the Board of Education, thank you for having the students' and taxpayers' best interest in the forefront of every decision and you have made and every decision you make. You have a volunteer job that most won't seek, but so many are so quick to criticize. By seeking a seat on the BOE, you decided to take action rather than just talk. Each of you give up countless hours of your personal time to serve the Somerville community. Some decisions are easier than others. Until we sit in your position, we can't truly understand the difficulty of the tasks you face. To my fellow parents and taxpayers, we all need to get involved in a positive and effective manner. We all need to keep an open mind. We all have the same goal, for Somerville to be the best school district. We need to all be in for the Ville. The next comment is from Alicia Danis, 435 East Main Street. Sorry, but she didn't write anything. Madeline Vosk, 3 South Midoff Street in Somerville, New Jersey. Mr. Ciani made 7th grade easily one of the best school years for me. I had such a good support system, and all of my teachers were fantastic. Mr. Ciani pushed us to the point where we did the absolute best we could without giving up and breaking down. I have this memory of him talking to one of my classmates, discussing how the student could put more effort into his projects. Once he saw the student getting frustrated and starting to give up, he lifted him up and reassured the student that he could do it. He always saw the best in all of us, even if we were considered troublemakers. Mr. Ciani never looked down on one of us, no matter what he heard from other students or teachers. All of the activities we did in class had everyone engaged, and no one was bored or not doing anything. Mr. Ciani had always handled every situation thrown at him very well. I realized how supportive he was of his students and how much he cared about people, even if he didn't have any connections to them. He made sure to have people know that they could talk to him. I've always felt comfortable around him, and I knew that if I was really struggling, I could easily go to him about it, which is really important in middle school. When I found out that he had been let go, I was genuinely upset. I was upset because he was such an amazing teacher. I was upset because of how much fun I had in his class. I felt like all the good memories I had because of him and his class were thrown away. I had wanted to tell my siblings and their friends how amazing Mr. Ciani was when I had him. Once they got to 7th grade and asked me, I wanted to be the role model to talk about my role model. I look up to Mr. Ciani, and even though I don't want to be a teacher, I told myself that if I ended up to be one, I wanted to be the kind of teacher Mr. Ciani was. I don't think I realized how much fun Mr. Anderson's class was. There was never a boring day besides days we had tests, and there was always something to laugh about in his class. Mr. Anderson was always joking around with kids in my class and always made the lesson interesting. Mr. Anderson and Mr. Shaker were always joking around in the hallways together, and I enjoyed being involved. When we were in quarantine, Mr. Anderson kept up with the same fun, energetic attitude he had when we were in school. This definitely helped me out as a student, personally, and I'm positive it helped other students out as well during such a rough time. I hate that it has taken me so long to realize what an amazing teacher he was, but I'm so glad to say that I had him as one. I don't understand why they are not coming back, and I'm so sad that they won't be here for my siblings and their friends in the future. If there was a way I could help them stay, I would gladly do that after all they have done for me. The next comment is from Stephen Loretti, 415 Bartine Street. As we approach the end of the school year, I want to publicly express my gratitude to Dr. Tian, the Board of Education, and all the administrators for their tireless dedication to our district in this pandemic. As a paid employee of this Board of Education and a taxpayer in this town, I suppose my perspective tends to be a little different at times. So many people's lives have been devastated by the pandemic. So much has been lost, some of which may never come back. You have been required to make decisions on a daily basis that affect the lives of parents, students, and staff, while guidance from the state was changing, sometimes hourly. The burden of this responsibility, while constantly being criticized, must be exhausting. Please accept my personal thanks for everything you are trying to do for Somerville schools. Amy Repole, 6th Schoolhouse Lane, Somerville. I would like to call for a vote of no confidence for Dr. Tian. I am seriously concerned with the turnovers of teachers in our district, whether they are being fired or resigning. Unfortunately, our students will be the one to suffer. I would also like to thank the teachers who have always gone over and above, even in these unprecedented times. We support and love you. Helene Gerson, Central New Jersey. Congratulations to the staff of Somerville Schools on a year well done. Diane Sobey, 74 Slicker Road, Glen Gardner. Congratulations to Somerville's ESPs and Teachers of the Year and retirees. Michael Anderson, 3711 Birchwood Court, North Brunswick, New Jersey. At last month's board meeting, a fellow teacher said some very kind things about me during public comment. I cannot thank that teacher or the parents that have reached out to me personally enough for what they said about the impact I have made on them. At the meeting, it was revealed during that comment that my contract was non-renewed and will not be returning to Somerville Middle School next year. As you can imagine, I was extremely disappointed to find this out, but I would like to take this opportunity to outline the path that led to that. Every school year, non-tenured teachers have a mid-year evaluation where they are given areas of success and areas of improvement and an end-of-year evaluation. Last year, during my mid-year evaluation, I was given some partially effective markers on my performance. While I understand no teacher is perfect, and I appreciate and value feedback, I created a document with a few comments, questions, and examples for administration to review in order to gain clarification about my job performance. Google has an amazing feature where you can see if someone views a document or not. Administration did not look at my documents once. How am I supposed to meet criteria when I don't get clarification? Fast forward to this year, I was advised during my evaluation last year that I would need to seek monthly administrative feedback on how to improve. Fair enough. I wanted to stay here. I wanted to be a teacher here. I wanted to be the teacher they wanted me to be. Therefore, I completed these monthly meetings. I developed goals for myself. I researched how to reach these goals, including buying books for myself. I created the rubric to evaluate myself, and I recorded and ultimately graded myself. I shared all of this information and research with administration in hopes that they can provide me with feedback about my progress. And here comes Google's amazing feature. They didn't even look at all the work I had done. Clearly, they had solidified their decision to fire me. They had given up on a teacher in their district. In my eyes, this is equivalent to me as a teacher telling a student that they need to improve and never following up or providing feedback, and then allowing them to fail. So in conclusion, when we talk about who is partially effective here, I can admit I am not a perfect teacher by any means. However, it seems to be that this rating of partially effective belongs to the administration as well. It is a clear reflection of their inability to support their staff. Every administrator in this district has a keystone leadership role, and we as teachers deserve leaders in our system that support us in our growth. We deserve better, our kids deserve better. And this is the final comment. Karen Mock, Bound Brook. Congratulations to my colleagues on an outstanding school year. That's the last comment we have this evening.
Thank you, Ms. McEntee.
Oh, wait. One more coming.
Hi, Sally Booth, 33 Bullion Road, Basking Ridge, New Jersey. So it sounds like maybe we have some problems, but the good news is I think we can fix it. There's a Japanese tradition called kintsugi, which is you take something broken and you mold it together with gold trim or gold molding, and it comes out more beautiful than it was when it was just a regular teacup. So let's try that here. I have a few suggestions of how we could improve. Number one, I think we've asked for the non-bias, whatever that is. Yep. There we go, third party. I think that would be great. I think we have enough administrators in the district, like really enough. I think that we should really try to promote from within. We have some openings in the middle school. It would be really great to get some of our teachers in those supervisory positions. I think that would do a world of good, a world of we would feel like, okay, we're valued. We haven't been promoting. I think the last one I see is like Jen DePace was the last one to be promoted from within. We get so many outside people, and you have so many good people, and they have their degrees. I think we need to look at evaluations. Michael Anderson laid out exactly what occurs very often. I think the curriculum committee or evaluation personnel committee, I see you put a resolution to have the strong evaluation. Maybe a committee could look further into that. Dr. Sadin is quite good at trauma. I think having maybe some help with administration on how to deal, we've been trained in trauma, maybe administrators should have some training in that as well. The communications, so Mr. Sigillo wanted to be on it, Pincello wanted to be on it, I'd like to be on it, Sally Booth. I would like to be on that ad hoc communications committee. I'm going to be vice president of the SEA next year, and I think that would be a great place to start. So let's do this, okay? Thank you.
Okay, seeing it looks like there are no more public comments, there's no more in the stream. At this point, is there a motion to close public comment? That was, I believe, Mr. Carlson, second.
Second.
Mr. Sutil, second.
Oh,
Discussion?
Wait, no, wait, there's,
No, it's, if you want to leave it, you can leave it there. Yes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Again, there was a lot said tonight. I'm not going to try to address every point that was made in terms of the community. I do, again, as I want to emphasize every meeting that is emphasized, I want to thank people for coming out. I want to thank people for making comments. I've heard a few times said tonight that the board does not hear or does not listen to the comments. I want to assure everybody that the board does hear the comments, that some of the comments are very hard for people on the stage to hear. I think it's hard for administration to hear. I think it's something, again, that I know staff feels passionate about. So, and again, that is something that the board will reflect on. Again, I think that this forum in and of itself is not intended to be a conversation with the community. It is intended to allow the community to give input, for the board to hear, and for the board to reflect on and to make some decisions going forward. Ms. Booth, you mentioned a communications committee. Again, we haven't even met yet, so we're going to need time to kind of think about that. But I do think that certain board members did hear that there is a need for us to evaluate the communication as a whole. And I can't tell you what will come out of that committee, but I can only promise that the committee will meet and that the committee will reflect on some of the things that were said tonight and also look to make some recommendations going forward. I also want to make sure that people understand that when, and this is kind of I don't know how to respond sometimes to the idea of a third party, because I'm not sure who the third party would be at that point. But what I can say is the public is the third party. So when you come out and you make comments, that is the third party in terms of a stakeholder group coming out and actually making comments. And I made a comment, or I made a point earlier tonight to talk about, again, the idea of if people feel very strongly and are very passionate about some of these issues, that we would ask that you actually pick up a board packet and that you actually, again, be part of the potential solutions if you see that as something that you want to have the board take action around. The board is obligated to follow a certain code of ethics. The board is obligated to, again, follow certain procedures within meetings. So the idea of when even public sessions are taking place within a meeting is actually kind of dictated in terms of the way I believe that Robert's Rules works and the way that public comment actually unfolds. So the intention is not to ever say that people cannot make comment, but there is an order to the way that meetings generally are structured. And that's not just specific to Somerville, that's specific, I think, to boards of education as a whole. So that's part of the engagement process, that's part of the business of the board, that's part of the opportunity for the public to come out and make comments. And again, I think I can only say that I know that the people on the stage up here listen very carefully, that we do have conversations about these comments kind of offline, that it is something, again, that as we move forward as a board, we will reflect on. And I just would encourage everybody that spoke with such passion tonight to continue to come out, to continue to provide the board feedback and that type of input. But I would also ask that it's done in a productive way, that it's done in a way that is respectful of the work that the board has to do, respectful of the work, the way the board has to operate, and that it's done here, and it's done within the committee structures of the board that are available to us. So again, with that, I'll leave that open to the other board members if you have any comments that you would like to make at this time, and if not, then we can look to move to executive session.
I just would ask that there be no assumption that we're not that we take this very seriously. We're here as volunteers. I think almost 50% of us are in education in some form or other. We know the business a little bit, and we have to make tough decisions. We don't just support the students, we don't just support the parents, we don't just support the teachers. We have to support all the different stakeholders. Sometimes these decisions that we make are very difficult. And they're not decisions we want to make, but we have to make.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patillo. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to just say that I agree with you, Mr. President, that the public is a third party. We're looking for third-party reviews. We have 3 seats up this year, 3 seats up next year, 3 seats up the following year. That will replace the entire board in 3 years. So please feel free. I have kids. I know it's difficult. I have 2 in school right now. But please feel free to step up.
Okay. Okay. Again, in closing, just want to thank members of the community for coming out and, again, for speaking with such passion, for sharing the thoughts, sharing the comments, and I can only promise you that the board will reflect on that. And will, again, going forward, seek to evaluate that and again, try to balance the stakeholders within the community that are also saying other things, because that's the other side to this. We heard that in the stream tonight, that there were comments that were made that were also very supportive and very positive. So the board hears both sides of that. All right. Okay. At this point, we are going to be moving into executive session. So resolved that the Board of Education move to recess into executive session to discuss a grievance, the superintendent's evaluation, and matters falling within attorney-client privilege with respect to these subjects. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once issues are resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Jess was a motion. Mr. Sajil was a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Will there be any,
I don't believe that there will be, what's that?
It's 8:30.
Yeah, I don't believe that there will be action taken upon return to public session. Okay, at 8:38, we are now in executive session.
Yes, there is going to be action.
Oh, I'm sorry, there will be action taken on the superintendent's evaluation. Thank you. Okay. All right, so at this point, thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. Everybody that's in the auditorium, we're staying here, I believe. So we would ask that everybody exit the auditorium. And at 8:38, we are in executive session. Okay, and executive session has concluded at 9:32, so we are now back in public session. It has been determined that we do not need to take any action upon return to public session, so at this point, I am asking for a motion to adjourn our meeting. Mr. Puntillo and Mr. Carlson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We are adjourned at 9:33. Thank you, everybody.